Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to 2A News Now. My name is Troy, and I really appreciate you taking your time tuning into my video. I wasn't going to make a video about the IRS raid of a gun shop in Montana, and the reason being was so many people had covered it. But in the comments of my last video, I had a few people ask me if I would do a video on it. So I did my own research, read a lot of stories, watched a lot of the videos that people had put out about it on YouTube, and I just wanted to give what I believe is the truth of what happened. It seems to me people were giving some misinformation, maybe because they didn't research the story enough or they just went with the flow, I don't know. And I'm not saying anybody did anything wrong, but this is the information that I have come up with. The owner of Highwood Creek Outfitters, his name is Tom Van Hus, and his business is in Great Falls, Montana, and he's owned the business for 13 years. As he pulled into work Wednesday morning, 20 heavily armed IRS agents with the Criminal Investigation Division swarmed his store. Mr. Van Hus said they were in full battle rattle, and he said some of these agents were mustered from as far away as Denver and Idaho to serve a warrant for financial records. That's one truth that we have, that they were there to get financial records, but other records as well. But somebody else reported that they were just there for the 4473s. Mr. Van Hus said the IRS claims said he underreported and failed to report millions of dollars in sales of firearms. Mr. Van Hus denied that categorically. He said that anyone who knows anything about the gun business knows there's not a lot of extra revenue in running a retail gun store in range. And now here's the part what they actually did take from the raid. Of course, Highwood Creek Outfitters was closed on Wednesday while the agents rifled through the records. The IRS CID troops took 10 hours to copy the information from his computers and download his point of sale software information. But what really concerned Mr. Van Hus, that in addition to his sales and accounting records, the agents confiscated 13 years of 4473 forms and copied his firearm acquisition and disposition book. Anyone that has ever completed a 4473 form no, there is no revenue or financial data there. The form is a record of a firearm purchase transaction used to facilitate a NICS background check and potentially trace a gun ownership down the road if it's used in a crime. The question is, why would the IRS want customer transaction information? Van Hus said the 4473 forms were not included on the list on financial records specifically listed on the warrant the IRS agents served him during the raid, yet they took them anyway. According to Mr. Van Hus, he's always got along with the ATF agents to come in his store. And from all the information that I could get, the ATF was there, but played a limited role in what happened. So of course, Mr. Van Hus was concerned about turning over the firearm transaction records. And he actually called Kirk Nelson, the ATF area supervisor in Helena, Montana, with whom he said he's always had a good working relationship with. Nelson originally told him he didn't have to hand over the 4473 forms, as they don't contain financial records. And of course, they weren't listed on the warrant. But after further discussion with the IRS agents at the scene, Nelson changed his tune and told Van Hus to hand over the records. Mr. Van Hus estimates his store generates between 1,500 and 2,000 4473 forms every year. And he said that's pretty consistent. That means the IRS has tens of thousands of gun sales records for Highwood Creek's customers. And again, the IRS agents took them despite the warrant not listing the 4473 forms as part of the records they were looking for. Van Hus confirms the receipt he received for the confiscated records included the 4473 forms. As you probably can imagine, Mr. Van Hus is concerned about his customers' individual information being in the hands of a government agency, and he's got a number of elected officials involved in trying to get answers, and that includes Montana's Attorney General Austin Knudsen and Congressman Matt Rosendale, who visited the store on Friday. Van Hus is also trying to enlist the help of Senator Steve Daines. Representative Rosendale has written a letter to the ATF Director Stephen Dettelbach and IRS Commissioner Daniel Werfel looking for answers. And here's part of that letter. Under Director Dettelbach's leadership of the ATF, a pattern of intimidation and harassment against hardworking Americans has emerged. Montanans will not tolerate these political witch hunts. I remind both Director Dettelbach and Commissioner Werfel that Congress has the power of the purse and I will ensure that funding for these agencies is not weaponized against the American people. Van Huse and Highwood Creek Outfitters was back up and running as usual Thursday morning. He wants his customers to know that whatever prompted the IRS raid, he's still very much in business. Mr. Van Huse says he plans to fight the IRS on this to recover his 4473s, and he expects the legal bills to run in 6 figures. He'll be establishing a Give, Send, Go campaign to help raise funds to pay the attorneys. So that's the information that I was able to gather about this story. They just didn't take the 4473s. They made copies and or took all his financial records too as well. But of course we know the IRS didn't need those 4473s because it would have been listed on the warrant. Of course it was the ATF that wanted those 4473s to get the customer information. So I hope that video cleared up some of the information that was out there. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think of the raid, and also let me know if my video cleared some things up for you. And as always, I appreciate everybody's support. You guys are always crushing it by liking, sharing, and subscribing and hitting those post notifications. I really do appreciate it, and it does help the channel grow. And I invite everybody back to see my next video.